Hi, it's Terry with another Stamping Hair stamping project. Today we're going to be making this card. I saw a tutorial on Pinterest made by Lisa Young from Add Ink and Stamp blogspot, and I followed her tutorial, made this card, and it's for my daughter, and I think it's just very, very cute. So if you open it this way, you can see inside. And then if you turn it over, it has more cuteness. And then it comes back together as that. 1 by 4. And I'm using real red ink to match the DSP. I have Sending Love. It's a retired DSP, but it's still very, very cute. So, happy birthday. Stamp the greeting, hold it for 3, get a good transfer. There we go. And that's really the only stamping that is on this card. Make a flag end. So if you just center your 1/2 inch piece, it makes a nice flag. And chocolate chip, and it's cut at 4 by 9 3/4. And before I fold it, I'm going to put my DSP on and my cardstock. And then the DSP, same colors, a little snail. Then turn this over, and you can put DSP on these two, nothing on the back where the white, your vanilla is. And these DSP, all four pieces, are cut at 3 1/8 by 3 7/8. Okay, now it's going to fold this way. Okay, and the first cut is made with a square punch, 1 3/8. And you want to go about 1/3 of the way in and center it on both sides. Fold this in half, just to the outside. And you want to make a turret, so you just want to take a little bit off. Maybe about 1/4 inch. Use your paper snips. You cut this from here all the way to this edge. You can use a pencil to mark that. That'll be right about here. And then just cut straight across. And we need to make a turret over here, so we'll need to cut out a little piece there. And you can see that this one is about 3/8 of an inch. So over here, make that mark about 3/8 of an inch. And then along the score line. And then just snip that out. Our 1 3/8 square again. And same thing, about 1/3 of it way in. Center it. So your front will look like this. And now the front of the card, we're going to cut out with an oval punch. And you want to center that. If you come with this style punch, if you come all the way in and then center it left to right and punch it through. And save this piece because we'll be using this later. And then take your scissors and cut straight through to meet the ends of the oval. And this piece can be, if you don't put any snail in the center of your DSP, just a little bit, you can use this piece for the inside where you'll put the numbers. And I can go right in here once. So if you're, and I have a piece, I'm using Bashful Blue, and it's cut at 3 3/8 by 6.5. I'm going to put that like this in the back. And we have a tower on this side. And I'm using this piece. The same one we used to make the doorway here. And you want to leave a little gap at the end. Can you see the little gap at the end? And then center center right to left, but leave that gap at the end because that'll give you enough room for the arch. Tower in the background, and on top of the tower we're going to put a roof, and this is a 2 1/8 by 2 1/8, and then just cut it diagonally. So this is what it's going to look like. Once the roof will come on like that. So in order to glue all this down, I want to mark where this arch goes. I'm just taking a pencil and drawing. The roof of the tower is going to have dimensionals, so I can put those on now, and put those on just on the corners, because at the end we're going to slide a little piece of cardstock to make a cloud. So I'm using Tombow multi glue just so I can move this around and be easier to get the placement right. And then my marks helps me find where I had it previously. And see how I can move it around because of the Tombow helps it slide around. Because this is one piece, several pieces, a big piece of cardstock and some DSP, I know that it's a little heavier, so I want to use some sticky strip. That's what I'm going to use to stick it down. Here's my sticky strip, and I'll just put a few pieces on the back side. Just to give it some extra hold. There we go. And we can pop our diagonal of DSP on top for the roof of the big turret. And just make sure that it's centered on both sides. Border here, 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 and if you turn it over there'll be a border here and here. And I cut 1 inch. So these I'm using pretty pink pirouette. I have 2 of those, and then I have one that's my scallop edge border punch. There we go. So it's 3 1/8 by 1 inch, and for this punch I'm going to use the ribbon punch to give this one a nice border. And the same thing, just my snail for this ribbon part. Just a little bit of snail. Okay. And this part is going to, for this border, there we go. That's going to need to be cut for the snail notch out on the friendly. So I had a hard time with the first one I made with the paper snip, so I'm just going to do this one the easy way. I could not put this in my punch, it was too thick, the cardstock was too thick. Using the pretty in pink. So this piece should be 1.25 inches before you punch it out. And then we're going to lay it across here, and the same thing, we want to mark the notch so you can cut it before you adhere it. And then I'll fit right there. So again, we use the snail. Put that right under the turret, the small turrets. And this will go on the next piece. Our piece that was left over when we popped this out. And then we're going to put that right here. This way put your numbers, whatever numbers. And I used a die with my Big Shot to cut my numbers out. But they can't be too big because you're working with a small area here. Decorate the turrets, these two turrets right here. And I strapped DSP and the pennant punch. You need four. Each pennant's going to be topped by a small scallop circle. This is the itty bitty scallop, the punch pack. And I'm using the small scallop from that. And I'm going to use another piece of scrap paper from that DSP. Adhere these. And I want this small flower side out. So, nail on the back side of them. And just slide them under where you would like them to be. And then I'll put snail on the next two. And just put those over top and push it down so they adhere to each other. Same thing with these small scallops. Piece of snail. And I want to make sure the red part is out. And then to dress it up some, I'm going to use some rhinestones. I'm using the small ones right on top of those small scallops. Give it a little bit of bling, since this is a card for a girl. You can also, Lisa Young did them in a blue. And my new punch, this 1 1/4 inch scallop. And this is going to be a cloud. I don't have the cupcake punch, so I have to use this, but it looks just as well. And then just cut it in half. Nail the back of it. And just pop it under behind the turret. Put the birthday banner on. So this is a piece of DSP, cut it 3/4 of an inch by 3 1/8. I'm going to lay it right there. So I just want to put tape runner just on the edges because I don't want it to adhere through this opening. Yeah. And then my birthday banner, I'll go right across that, and I'm just going to put it inside a little bit because the flag is hanging off the edges. And then just center your greeting to where you want it. And there you have it, a castle card for somebody special. Thank you for watching.